or if you're a FlexMed student, just so we know who the audience is. I can just call out names since I see them. And if you come off, please do. Nina, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Nina. I'm a current junior at Brown, and I was admitted to FlexMed this past summer. And I'm really excited to be here. My major is public health, and I'm really interested in listening today. So thank you so much.
Great. David, I see you.
Hi, I'm David. I'm a fourth year applying into pediatrics currently. Excited to be here.
Thanks. Nikki, I see you.
Hi, I'm Nikki Feldman. I'm a scholarly year student, so taking a research year between MS3 and MS4, and very likely applying into peds next year.
Emmanuel, are you able to introduce yourself?
Hi, yeah, my name is Emmanuel. I am a junior at the University of Rochester. I am also a FlexMed student. I got accepted in this past application cycle.
Great. Prabjot?
Hi everyone, my name is Prav. I'm a junior at Brown, and I was also admitted into the recent FlexMed cycle.
Great. Sophia?
Hi, I'm Sophia. I am an MS1. I don't know what I'm interested in.
But you're in the library, I can see you.
Yeah, so I recognize the background.
I recognize that background too.
Hi, Phoebe.
Hi, I'm Phoebe. I'm in the FlexMed program, and I'm currently working in Boston.
Are you a medical student or you're a college student?
No, I'm going to be starting next year. I applied through
okay.
the early insurance program. Yeah.
Okay, great. And then Christina.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Christina. I'm from Boston College. I'm a junior, and I'm also a FlexMed admit.
I think that's everyone. Congrats on all the admits. That was definitely the best letter to get during college.
Oh yeah, I got a phone call.
All right, Dana, I'll let you take it away. Wherever you want to start in your point in life in terms of your career path.
Sure. Thanks all for joining today. This is going to be very informal, and not to downplay my career, but I, as opposed to some of the other speakers who have been here before, do not have major accolades. I have accomplished a lot in my little career, but I really wanted to speak to all of you about and where this came out of, and kind of in my conversations with Jason and even with Dr. Muller, is sort of like the realness of being a doctor and a mom, and life decisions and career decisions. And so I'll tell you a little bit about how I made my decisions. And I'd be happy to answer questions about sort of the career and the path, especially for those medical students who are here. For the people who have joined or joining the class next year and the year after, congratulations. It is a huge honor to be able to enter medical school through the FlexMed program, because it really is a gift, and you should take advantage of it, of being able to experience college in a way that unfortunately the medical students who are not in the FlexMed program often cannot. So anyway, congratulations. So just a little bit about me and how I kind of made my path. I'm not going to take up all 45 minutes or an hour. I decided to be a doctor when I was a junior in high school because I loved my science teacher, and my father was a doctor, and it seemed like a very obvious path. I went to a very progressive high school and also equally progressive college at Wesleyan University. And it just was sort of the path that I knew I was going to be on no matter what. But when I heard about it was called the HUMED program back then, because they were really emphasizing the humanities specifically. I applied, and kind of on a fluke I got in, and that was very lucky for me because I got to do things that I otherwise wouldn't have done. Like I went to Spain for a semester, and I was in an a cappella group with Lin-Manuel Miranda, which is pretty awesome. Threw that in there. He was in the Jewish a cappella group, by the way. Anyway, so college was great for that reason. And then I have to say, Mount Sinai, I've over the years, I'm now in my early 40s, and I have over the years met many colleagues who went to other medical schools. I think Mount Sinai might be just like a real gem. And I think that it's really important. I know the medical students who are here who are exhausted might not feel that way right now, but in retrospect, it really is a place that fosters a love of medicine and not just rote learning. I think that Mount Sinai really tries to develop humans who are going to be change makers and are on the kind of on the cutting edge of the work that we're doing in DEI and making sure that that we create doctors who actually are more than just scientists, science physicians that, not just, but who really care about the world at large. And so I really enjoyed medical school. It was stressful at times. And my one major suggestion is that you only let it be stressful when it needs to be stressful, and don't be stressed out all the time because nobody has the heart for that. But I really enjoyed Mount Sinai, and having a father who was a psychiatrist, I thought that was my natural path. But I went to a pediatrics rotation in Englewood, New Jersey, which was like, no, it wasn't Englewood. Where did they send us off to? It wasn't Englewood.
Englewood was a rotation though.
It was
It
a
could be.
rotation, but it
Yeah.
wasn't Englewood. It was a different random New Jersey community hospital. And I was so disappointed because I knew that this was a thing that I might want to do. And they were shipping me off to New Jersey. And it was like the best experience ever. And I realized—
Oh, Barnabas, maybe?
Barnabas, St. Barnabas. Yes. Do we still go to St. Barnabas? No. Okay. Anyway, the point is that, is that I got shipped off to this community hospital, and it was fabulous. I got down on the floor with kids, and I realized that was my passion, and that kids made me happy and I made them happy. And it was like a perfect relationship. And I said goodbye to psychiatry, and pediatrics was just a natural thing. And I have to tell you, for those who are still in college and haven't decided on your path, being a pediatrician or not being a pediatrician, it's something that kind of you come to understand about yourself once you're in it. I babysat a little bit in high school and college, but I didn't really know what it was like to care for children until I was in medical school and in residency. And it's just going to feel right, and you'll kind of get it. And the people who choose not to go into pediatrics, it's not good for them. So you'll know that it's not right for you too. But being a parent is different than being a pediatrician. And so I finished my medical school at Mount Sinai, and I ended up in residency at Mount Sinai. And I want to just kind of throw this in as a life lesson as I was reflecting the last 15 minutes before I joined the call on my 40 years of life. I think that it's really critical during medical school, and maybe even if you do research in college, to maintain relationships with people who have mentored you and people who you've admired their work, because those are the relationships that build and push you through your career. So when you're applying for residency, as you are going to be applying, I guess now, David, I think that it's important to maintain those relationships because not only are they helpful, but they kind of foster a momentum in your career, and were very helpful to me, I will say. So Mount Sinai Pediatrics was great. I had wonderful colleagues. I can attest, and I'm sure that Alexis feels this way too, that while you're in medical school and also in residency, it's very important to make no enemies and to only make friends, because you will rely on all of your medical school friends and colleagues forever to treat your family members and yourself and your children. It's a critical part of the experience of being in this profession, a very honorable one. And so through residency, I made wonderful friendships, and I looked at different possible options for specialties while I was still in medical school. And I sort of just realized that I liked the whole child, not one organ in their body. And I wanted to have a career where I could interface with communities and understand the bigger impacts that the world has on our little creatures. So I decided to continue through general pediatrics, and I ended up in a fellowship at Columbia sort of by chance. There were very few options at the time, and I wanted to stay in New York where my husband was. So I could pause there, I could just keep going. I did my, general pediatrics fellowship, and, having a master's in public health when you choose pediatrics, I think is a terrific idea. It's not necessary. It's actually a great idea for those college students who are coming in now to like try to get some skills now in college and early in medical school from your mentors. You can teach yourself how to use R or SAS or SPSS. Like coding and statistics they're not brain surgery. They're hard brain surgery. And there are ways of learning these skills without having to do like a formal MPH necessarily, but my MPH was terrific. I learned a lot about healthcare policy. I did a lot of work on program development, and I got to work with a lot of people from different fields. I ended up forging a path that put me in relation with the dentistry school, and I started putting fluoride on our kids' teeth in our pediatric offices as a result. I mean, they're just like different types of relationships grow out of working in interdisciplinary environments, and it was terrific. And then I landed a job there because a colleague was leaving. So that was really, as I said, it is really about relationships. It's very important to maintain relationships.
Do you still use your MPH now?
I do, yeah. I do research in newborn medicine and in some communications research. I'm trained in motivational interviewing, and I do work with the New York Presbyterian and training physicians and nurse practitioners and physician assistants on communication skills, and we look at kind of results of our program. So I would say that I use the MPH more for, this is where I was getting at, for the research skills, which I think you can kind of pick up in other ways and not necessarily having to get an MPH. But I had no research background, which is, I don't know that you feel this way, Alexis, but I felt that because I was handed the gift of the FlexMed program, I didn't spend a lot of time in college gaining research skills because I felt like I needed to do all the other things before I got
Yeah.
And so I really didn't have any bench research or clinical research when I got to residency. Absolutely. And I got to form tremendous connections with professors and people who work. I did work with somebody who works in Uganda on a project because I met them through the MPH program. So I think I definitely use it in many different ways. Absolutely.
So I would say, like, anyone who wants to ask a question, just take yourself off mute and feel free to.
Definitely any questions.
Yeah,
for sure.
David, how are your applications going?
Fine. I got them in on time, so.
That's a big part.
Right. Yeah.
Kind of got a little hectic at the end, but it all worked out. So just sort of interview offers are starting to come through now. And so just trying to stay on top of my emails and stuff.
Yeah, that's in itself a problem. They don't text you when you get an interview.
Yeah. And it's crazy. It's like as soon as an interview offer comes through, like if you don't pick a spot right away, like by the time you check an hour later, most of the spots have already been claimed. It's crazy.
Yeah. They barely had computers when we were applying to residency.
And so Dana, you have 4 kids. How did you space them out during training? Or
that assumes that a physician knows about a family planning would space them out.
Yeah.
I know many a doctor, one of whom I spoke to yesterday, who decided not to breastfeed her second child and then ended up with a third like 6-9 months later. That was not good spacing. Yeah, in fellowship, I knew that it was time to start planning our family. And I will say, this is the thing that people don't talk about. I do interviews for Columbia's medical school, and there has been exactly one applicant, a female applicant. No offense here, David. Boys can feel this way too, but there was one applicant who, when I asked my really annoying question of where do you see yourself in 10 years, said, well, I think I'm gonna be a mom, and I'm gonna, why don't we talk about that? Why don't we talk about that? Like, yes, that is actually going to envelop like a significant amount of your day and your sleeplessness. And in addition to this profession that you entered out of the most, giving part of your heart, you're going to have to give a lot of that to your children too. So I thought it was very refreshing that this student was applying to Columbia's medical school. The first thing they said was they're going to be a mom. Nobody, those words were not really uttered during any other interviews that I've ever experienced in my life. So yes, I am a mom, and it does occupy a huge part of my brain. And I had 4 kids, one starting in fellowship and the last one a month before the pandemic started. So they range from 10 to 2, and they're great. I mean, I think, it's funny, in pediatrics, there are actually quite a few pediatricians who don't have children because they are sick of them when they leave the office. And I get sick of my kids sometimes too, but I love them dearly. And they've given me opportunities to kind of enrich their lives in other ways. And it's really fun to be the pediatrician parent, because I get to come into like kindergarten classes and tell them about what it's like to be a doctor. It's fun. Yeah.
That's definitely not an answer I've heard on any orthopedic surgery.
Yeah. I want to say, as a female doctor, because I think that this is important, is that eventually, a very long time from now, but we're getting closer, we will have a more equal world, in which, I don't know, maybe insurance companies will pay for menstrual products. I mean, who knows? Where men and women will have equal opportunities, and and people of all different colors and shapes will have equal opportunities. And that it is okay to talk about that your kid is sick and you have to take the day off, and you don't have to feel bad about it. Like that one day we'll get there. We haven't gotten there yet. But I really hope to push the envelope on that issue.
Has it changed how you are as a pediatrician? Or how do you think it's affected?
So the second I had my first kid, I stopped doing inpatient medicine. I couldn't take it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It was very interesting. Like, I always considered myself very capable of separating work from home, and I still am to a certain extent. But seeing healthy children get sick was very, very hard for me. A lot of my patients currently are children with very complicated chronic illness. Columbia is like a magnet for the most esoteric genetic disorders and medical issues. And so I've become the pediatrician of very challenging patients, but they're well when they see me, and they are in good spirits. And I can handle that. But being inpatient as a mom was very hard for me. And a little bit because of how pediatrics has changed, in which hospitalists are kind of their own unit, and outpatient pediatrics is its own. It was a natural journey for me to leave inpatient medicine. But that's how it really changed me, is that every kid that walks into your office is like your own kid. And you treat every kid like they're your own kid. And you make no decisions at any point that would impact a family or child differently than you would want to be impacted. And so I think that is a huge part of growth. Now, every doctor doesn't become a parent necessarily, but you'll find that as you grow and you eventually get into your 40s, you have become, like, your family really looks to you for not only for medical advice, but as some sort of, know-it-all. And it's important to have those skills, outside of the office as well, being able to help people through very challenging experiences. So I think, I always say this to my residents, and I say it to even the applicants to medical school, that becoming a doctor is not a profession. Like, it's the one and only thing that is not a profession. It is, I don't know if Alexis agrees with me, but I feel that it is like who you are, and it's who you are from the second you wake up in the morning until you go to sleep, and how you think about the world and how you interact with other human beings. You can't walk past somebody who looks like they're in pain on the street.
Yeah.
Impossible to do that. Is that an answer to your question?
Yeah.
The question was about being a mother and a doctor. Yes, definitely impacted me.
So I can keep asking questions, but I see, obviously a lot of people on here. Nikki or Christina, do you guys have any questions? Dr. Sirota's covered everything in detail. Go ahead.
One question could be like, how did you decide on sort of like an academic versus a private setting that you wanted to practice in?
Yeah. That's a good question. I decided in the Aaron Hall gym. I remember maybe you've interacted with Dr. Grossman. Meredith Grossman was a fellow student with me, and she can probably remember this story. We were both working out in the gym, and we were trying to decide whether to do academics or endocrinology. I kid you not. It was that conversation that pushed me one way or another. I think that at the end of the day, it's odd that it is this way, but it is actually not so easy to work with an underserved population unless you do academia. And it's a strange thing to say, because you could be a private pediatrician in anywhere, but unless you have a relationship to an academic institution, which typically is the place that provides the most care to people on Medicaid, it is a little bit hard to get into certain communities. And so I knew from the get-go that I didn't want to work. I didn't want to work in the private practices that I attended and that I was in. I really wanted to work in other types of communities, and this seemed like the natural way to do it. I also knew that in order to impact my patients in kind of a more epidemiological scale, that I'd need to remain connected to an academic center, so that I could do research and have my hands in that. So a little bit, that's a confusing answer, but a little bit is that I had the intellectual curiosity and desire to remain in academics, but I also wanted to make sure that I could remain connected to communities in need and have resources to be able to work with them. I think that that's probably what I'm going at with that answer. Anybody have any other questions? We do not need to belabor the meeting, but I'm also happy. I'd like to give you my email address so that anybody can contact me at any point of your careers. You're looking for a job one day, or you need a pediatrician. Do you want to put it in the chat maybe, Jason?
Yeah, perfect.
Do you have my Columbia address, or you only have my can I put it in the chat? I could put it in the chat. Here we go. I'm gonna give you my
or I'm happy to do it. I just don't have the Columbia address, Dr.
No,
Stone.
that's okay. I'm writing it now.
Okay.
There we go.
So have you at any point thought about, was there anything else you were interested other than peds and psychiatry?
No.
So you knew. That's great. It's not always that easy.
I cried for most of my surgery rotation. I loved orthopedics. Being in orthopedics was the best. It was the best group of people, right? At Mount Sinai. Oh my God.
Yeah. It's a good group.
The best of the best. No.
That's good though.
I did dabble. I was thinking
yeah.
about endocrinology, as I mentioned, but
yeah,
I don't like adults. I really like.
So the thing is, you have to deal with them though as parents. How do you do that?
The parents of the children?
Yeah. Sometimes that's actually worse, I think.
That's also a very good question. I think that the cute kid in front of you balances it out. You know, deep inside, when I see a patient, I think, what do I need to do to help this adorable 5-year-old? And if it means that I need to embrace and empathize with the ridiculousness of their parents, then that's what I need to do. And at the core of it is I'm helping the 5-year-old. So I think that's sort of a roundabout way of saying that I can tolerate certain adults. I also think that, you know, what's great about pediatrics, it's not always the parent. You got abuela, you have the aunts, the uncles.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody can show up, the big sister or brother. The family is all invested in this little being. And so it's more than just necessarily the parents, the teachers. Oh my gosh, the phone calls with teachers that I have. So I don't know, as I said before, I think what was cool about pediatrics is that I wasn't dealing with one person. And you have more, it's almost like you have more ways of helping the patient and more tools and more opportunities, because it's not just the 80-year-old geriatric patient. It's like, really, we're like, that's it. Like, there's not much you can do for her. But you can manipulate all of the people around this child to treat the child how you need them to be treated.
Yeah, that's a good point.
No, I didn't consider any other specialties whatsoever. I actually just spoke today with someone applying to Columbia who's interested in neuroscience, and she said that she really doesn't like eyes. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you cannot go into neurology if you don't like eyes. Like, you
Yeah,
gotta be able to
yeah.
handle ophthalmology if you can't do. I didn't tell her that during the interview. I thought it was a little too premature, but you kind of will know. How did you know that you wanted to do orthopedics?
When I don't know if they do this for Flex Med, but as a HUMed, there's like a summer that you come and you can rotate through different services. So I honestly, I didn't even know what orthopedics was. I just checked it off just to try it. And I liked it. I don't know that I loved it. I mean, it's only a week. And then I wound up just emailing a bunch of different doctors. And so one of them, who actually wound up being my mentor, was coming over to Sinai the first year I was starting. Evan Flato, who actually came from Columbia to Sinai. And then he wound up hiring me after I did all my training. And now he's actually the president of Mount Sinai West. So it was just honestly, one of the first doctors I met. And like you were talking about relationships, like I think even to this day, I will still text him with questions, or it's like a pretty cool relationship, because I honestly was like a college senior when I first met him. And now through my whole career, it's been somebody that I've just leaned on. So I think if you had asked me that when I was a first year, I was like, is this a guy that you're going to be, working with down the road? I would probably say probably not. But you, like you're saying, you never really know who's going to be important. So it is, that's funny that you're saying about having good relationships to refer people or to have them take care of you. I think it more like, when you want referrals or want advice for like your own patients, it's great to have this network of people to call.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So
I was thinking a little bit more selfishly.
Yeah, it's beneficial in multiple ways.
I was a camp doctor. I left that off of my little bio. I was also a camp doctor, and I can't tell you how many times I need to reach out to my ortho friends.
Yeah.
I sent a van of 6 little kids to the hospital because I wasn't sure if they had broken their ankle or not. I have to be honest, I was a little happy that one of the x-rays came back maybe positive. So
it was worth it. Yeah.
It was
but I would think
it was worth
like
the van trip. But yeah.
Since there's so many Flex Med students on here, I would definitely say, I'm sure you guys are already taking advantage of the fact that you're into medical school, but definitely like take advantage of it, because once you start medical school, it is a very long road before you start doing anything non-science or medicine related. So
but bring your interests, because they actually make a difference. Everybody wanted to be friends with us, right, Alexis? Like everybody wanted to be friends with HUMed people, because we had all actually had a really fun time in college.
David, a lot of the class is HUMed or Flex Med right now.
Yeah, I don't know the exact numbers, but it's a pretty significant portion of my class at least. And I think that's pretty consistent throughout the class years now.
Yeah, but you're right. They're always the more, no offense, David, if you're not a Flex Med, but yes. There are the more interesting people.
I think Dr. Muller would agree. It's fine.
What'd you say?
I said Dr. Muller would agree.
Sorry. Go, Dr. Sirota.
No. Say what you were going to say.
I was just saying I wasn't Flex Med, but I did a post-bac. So I was also a humanities person in undergrad.
Okay, then you're in the cool club.
Yeah. All right. I guess if we don't have any other questions, Dr. Sirota's email is in the chat. So sometimes it's easier to ask stuff not in a group setting.
Like about your life and things. Yeah. But please feel free. It's like one of my favorite things. I want to emphasize that one of the regrets I have is I've collected mentors over time. I think that that's critical at this stage in all of your careers, is to find great mentors and hold them tight. And then one day you will be a mentor. And it's one of my favorite things is to have pre-med medical students, residents who still, I kind of am trying to help them through the journey. So however I can be helpful to you, I would absolutely love to be that for you.
And
Thank you.
if I may, Dr. Sirota is on our mentoring platform for those of you that are current ISMMS students. So she is available to be a mentor. And thank you for agreeing to do that, Dr. Sirota.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Peds is obviously so popular, so it's great to have pediatricians in that mix. All right, going
Well,
once.
thanks everybody for your time. Thanks, Alexis. It was nice to meet you.
You too. All right, have a great
Bye,
evening, everyone.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.